everyone, and welcome back here to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, my name is Joelle and I am a full-time reseller on several platforms, but Poshmark, eBay, and Mercari are my main ones. And for today's video, we're going to talk about 10 notable sales starting at the end of 2023 and going into 2024. If you followed my channel for a while, you might have noticed that I've been absent for the past few months. I think my last video was uploaded sometime in November. I've kept up with a couple of YouTube shorts, but for the most part, I've been completely absent from YouTube. However, 2024 was just the perfect reminder that I need to jump right back in, get back into YouTube, and start getting right back into the swing of things. So definitely make sure to continue checking out my channel. We're going to be back to our regular scheduled programming with videos hopefully every single Friday. And for now, we're going to get right into our sales. I will have a couple of channel updates here at the end of the video, so if you do want to stick around and hear those updates. We will talk about it then. But for now, I just want to get right into these sales. So first up, for $35 on an offer sent by the buyer, I sold this solid and striped Tailor one-piece swimsuit. This one was new with tags and my cost of goods was thankfully $0. I actually won this in a giveaway on Instagram. I sold most of the swimsuits on Whatnot. That ended up being a complete flop when I had a show, and so I decided with the couple pieces that I had left that I would go ahead and list them. I think I had this listed for $50, maybe $60, but with my cost of goods being $0, I figured any offer that I get would be worth it. So $35 seemed completely reasonable. If you do see this brand out in the wild, I think it is a great brand to pick up. I know there's a lot of it in liquidation, so maybe don't pay too much for it, but it is also very popular. So after fees and cost of goods for the solid and striped swimsuit, I profited $28. Next up, we have another new with tags find. So for $52 in discounted shipping, I sold this Sandro garment dye short sleeve t-shirt. This was a men's t-shirt, and this is something that I picked up multiples of at a big liquidation store that was changing locations, and so I got the chance to shop their clearance at around 50 to 60% off already discounted items. So I picked up about 4 or 5 t-shirts, a bunch of the same ones and a lot of the same brands for $12 a piece. I thought that would be worth it because even if I didn't sell it for a lot, it was a really easy listing to make, and I was very happy to see the first of the batch sell for just 20% off my asking price of $65. So for this Sandro t-shirt, after fees and cost of goods, I profited a fairly quick $37.58. This next sale was another quick one. So for $30 on an offer sent by the buyer, I sold these Pilcro Anthropologie wide leg palazzo jeans. These ones I actually bought at the buy sell trade store I work at. I've talked about it a little bit on my recent videos, but I am now a buyer at a buy sell trade store, very similar to Plato's Closet. So not a lot of general perks to the job, but one of the biggest perks as a reseller is that I get first dibs at any inventory, even clearance. So these were sourced at a 90% clearance sale. I paid $4.20, and after fees and cost of goods, I profited $19.80. And these jeans ended up selling within about 2 weeks of listing. All right, next up, we have another find from the store that I work at. So for $45 in discounted shipping, I sold these Vince Nila Brown velvet sneakers. These ones I bought not at the last 90% one, but the previous one before that. This was the last 90% sale that I sourced at before I started working there, but still ended up finding a lot of things. These Vince sneakers sold within about 6 months of listing, which is a little longer than what I hoped for. However, to sell for $45, that is still a success for me. So these cost me $4.50, and after fees and cost of goods, I made $29.48. All right, next up, we have a Plato's Closet clearance find. So for $30 in discounted shipping, I sold these Paige Hoxton ankle skinny jeans. So these ones I paid $1.50 for, which means Plato's Closet had them priced pretty reasonably at $15 before that clearance sale hit. And these days, I do hesitate to pick up skinny jeans. So if I do pick them up, I have to make sure that they have a decent sell-through rate or at least good sold comps. So for these Paige jeans, they appeared to be a pretty popular style, so I did not hesitate to pick them up. They also took about 6 months to sell, which again, little longer than what I hoped for, but for a piece like this that's maybe not as trendy anymore, I am okay with waiting a little bit longer, especially because my profit was still decent. So after fees and cost of goods, I still made $20.48 for these Paige skinny jeans. And speaking of jeans, this is honestly one of my favorite categories to sell if you can't tell, but for $21 in discounted shipping, I sold these Joe's Jeans skinny micro flare jeans. I also sourced these for $1.50 at the same Plato's Closet sale. Now, of course, this wasn't as high of a profit sale, but I still chose to include it because 1, I sourced it at the same sale as the previous one. 2, I love denim. And 3, this kind of kick flare style seems to be a pretty popular style of denim. So again, definitely worth it. If I saw these, I'd probably pick them up again, especially if they're under $2. And after fees and cost of goods, I profited $13.28. All right, looks like we have 4 more sales to talk about. And next up, this is, I believe, my best sale of 2023. Happened right at the end of the year, and I was so happy to see it. So for $120 plus discounted shipping, I sold this Jenu Velvet Mara bridesmaids dress. This one I did pay up for at $18. It was at Plato's Closet and it was new at tab. So I figured when I found it back in the fall that it would be the perfect bridesmaids dress to pick up. This is another very specific category that I love to sell. It might just be my experience, but even though these dresses sometimes sit for a while, with this one being the exception because it sold within about 2 months of listing. However, I always seem to find a really decent buyer no matter how long it sits. So this was my first time selling Jenu, and it sure was a beautiful bridesmaid's dress, and I will definitely be picking it up in the future. And this is a really great sale for me because it affirms that some things are worth paying up for. So for this dress, after fees and cost of goods, I profited a fairly quick $75.98. This next sale is not the biggest profit, but still I think a notable sale. So for $17 in discounted shipping, I sold this Baltimore Ravens sequins jacket. And I say this is notable because it sold in the prime time of the NFL season, right after the Ravens had a victory. So I've said it a lot in the past, not a lot recently because I haven't found it as much, but I love picking up any type of fan apparel. Whether it is professional teams or college teams, it always seems to have a really wide customer base. I have a lot of people that are going to be searching for things like this, especially during the football season and especially when your team is doing well. So make sure you check out any sort of fan apparel that you can get your hands on, especially if it is cheap enough. So this jacket took a while to sell. However, again, it sold during the prime time of the NFL season. So after fees and cost of goods, I profited $10.58. And next up, on a $40 offer sent by the buyer, I sold these Maeve pleated wide leg trousers. These ones were new with tags and also sourced at the place I work at for 90% off. So I only paid $2.40. Overall, I love selling Maeve pants. For whatever reason, I've had a lot of success with it. I don't know if it is just a coincidence or if at this point I can confidently say that you should be willing to pay up for these, but this is my 3rd or 4th pair of Maeve or Anthropologie kind of wide leg fun pairs of pants that I have sold, and they have all sold for $40 or more. So I have paid anywhere between this $2.40 up to $18 per pair. And again, I have great experience so far selling them. So this is something that I would definitely pick up again if I saw it at a thrift store, buy, sell, trade store, you name it. So these pants sold within about 3 to 4 weeks of listing, which I was very happy about. And after fees and cost of goods, I profited $29.60. All right, we are on to the last sale of this What Sold video, and it is a good one. So for $60 on an offer sent by the buyer, I sold this new with tags Zara satin pink bow skirt. Now, I saw this at TJ Maxx on clearance for just $2. That is something that you don't see often at your TJ Maxx's, but when you do, definitely make sure to look up those sold comps because it is probably going to be a gem. So when I looked at sold comps, I quickly discovered that this was a highly sought after Zara skirt. Zara is one of those brands that is oversaturated on the market, but when you do find those gems, especially bloggers' favorites, definitely make sure to pick them up because those are almost always going to sell and they should make you a decent profit. So this skirt again cost me just $2 and it sold within about 4 months of listing. So for a popular piece that picked up a lot of likes, I figured that it would take a while to find that right buyer who was willing to pay up for it. I had it listed for $75, so I thought $60 was very reasonable, especially because my initial offer that I would send out was 20% plus discounted shipping. So $60 seemed right on par. And after fees and cost of goods, I made a somewhat quick $46 for this Zara pink satin skirt. If you are still tuning in, I truly appreciate your support, especially after my long break from YouTube. Now we're going to talk about some channel updates, so stick around if you do want to hear them. If not, I truly appreciate you listening to my sales. But my biggest update is that I'm going to be focusing a lot more on raising my average sales price. I have learned that I am not very well at being a high volume seller. It is difficult to sustain a large amount of inventory. If you didn't know, I started reselling full-time this time last year. January 1st of 2023 was my first day. I was bringing in good inventory. However, having that self-employed income was really difficult because I was having to choose between paying bills and getting more inventory. So of course I chose to pay my bills, and I just didn't have a lot left over. And after starting to work at this buy-sell trade store, I discovered that there's so much good stuff out there if you are just willing to pay a little more for inventory. So I am starting to kind of raise my cost of goods, not by too much. I've really noticed that by raising my cost of goods by just a couple of bucks, my average sales price has drastically increased. So in my opinion, it is just a little extra small investment, and the reward is just getting greater and greater with higher profits. So I'll probably get back to doing thrift hauls because the inventory that I'm getting is going to be yielding much higher profits. So I feel like it is stuff that you guys will be a little more interested in seeing. So with that comes my next update, which will be I'm going to resume doing thrift hauls. I'm choosing to do this because my inventory that I'll be bringing in will be yielding me much higher profits. So I feel like it will be much more valuable to you all to see what I am bringing in, because it's going to be just more and more inventory that will be bringing higher average sales prices. So hopefully you all will get some good value out of those thrift hauls. My next update is really quick, and it is that YouTube will be resuming. I am so happy to say that. I really did miss YouTube and the community that comes with it. So I'm happy to be back on. I would love to get to a place where I can upload 2 videos a week. We will see when that happens, but for now we are going to be coasting at 1 video a week, and I will definitely be posting the occasional YouTube shorts. My final update is that if you all have any questions about anything related to buy-sell trade stores, the specific store that I work at is Style Encore, which if you look it up, it is owned by the same company as Plato's Closet. So they have a ton of locations around the country, just like Plato's does. So I have learned so much, and I have also been able to kind of validate a lot of the opinions that I had before I started working at one. So if you all do have any questions, make sure to message me. I'm Closet by Joelle on Instagram, and I would love to answer your questions. I will answer them personally, but I would also love to do a Q&A video in the future where I can share, obviously anonymously, all of your questions that you ask and answer them all in one video. So if that is something you all will be interested in, you can leave a comment below or obviously message me on Instagram, but that is something that I would love to share with you all. So we're done with the updates. I want to thank you guys again for supporting my channel, especially after this long break I took from YouTube. I'm really happy to be back, and I can't wait to start hearing feedback and updates from all of you in the YouTube community. So now that we're at the end of this video, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you for the next video.